So the Portland metro area is surrounded by natural beauty with stunning forests, rivers and lakes. And if you've ever dreamed of living in a place with stunning waterfront views, then you're in the right place. In this video, I'll be showing a breadth of different locations that have waterfront properties, and you might just be surprised how affordable they are. Hello, I'm David Backholer and welcome to my channel. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I'm a real estate broker based here in Portland, and I specialize in helping people relocate here. Now, the focus of my channel is to give you all the information you need to make an informed decision, and if you're thinking of making the move, this is the right place. Every week I release new neighborhood tour videos as well as showcase other nearby cities that could be a great alternative for you. Now, if you need a little bit more guidance than what you're seeing in these videos, feel free to give me a call, send me a text, shoot me an email, and I'll be happy to talk to you, jump on a Zoom call and help you throughout the process. Okay, so now let's get on the topic of today's video and talk about waterfront living. And the great news is that there's a really wide range and types of properties across the entire Portland metro area that have views of rivers and lakes. Now, this includes plenty of floating homes, affordable condos, and of course some sprawling lakefront estates. There really is something for everyone. Now, let's start things off and firstly talk about one of my favorite areas for condo living, and that's South Waterfront, which is located on the banks of the Willamette River. So South Waterfront is located in Portland's newest and smallest quadrant, which is South Portland, and this is located directly south of downtown Portland and sits on the west bank of the Willamette River. And the first phase of the development was in 2004, and construction is still ongoing. You'll find a mix of residential and commercial buildings here, but all the residential buildings are condos and apartments, and they are fairly upscale, ranging from around 5 stories to over 30 stories tall. So the Oregon Health and Science University, known as OHSU, has a very large campus here, and there's also a tram line to their main campus up on the hill. So this area is a very popular place to live for people who are in the medical field. So what is it like to live in this neighborhood? Well, you're in luck. There's a condo listed in the building behind me, so let's go take a look. So living in this neighborhood is not just all about the views. South Waterfront does offer some dining, shopping and entertainment options, but the neighborhood is also a hub for Oregon's Health and Science University's expanding campus, which is what you can see right behind me. So for the active and health conscious, South Waterfront is going to be appealing. The neighborhood has easy access to walking, biking and jogging trails along the river, and there's also a couple of high-end gyms in the neighborhood. Now of course, many of these condo buildings will also have their own fitness rooms. And let's not forget the convenience factor. Another reason why people love this neighborhood is that it has fantastic public transport. The Portland streetcar and Max Light Rail are on your doorstep, and also the tram takes the medical professionals to the other OHSU campus up on the hill, so the rest of Portland is just a short ride away. So South Waterfront has been one of my top picks in Portland for some time now. It's very well located with close proximity to downtown Portland and of course Beaverton's tech industry. It's also a very popular area if you're in the medical field because of the close proximity to the OHSU campus. Now this neighborhood is almost all condos, so if you're looking for a single family home, this is probably not the right neighborhood for you. Now, prices for condos start in the high 200,000. For example, 270,000 will get you a studio unit with around 650 square feet. And do remember that these condo buildings are slightly more on the higher end to the norm, a little bit more modern with modern amenities. Now, on the other end of the scale, for a top floor penthouse apartment, you could see that exceed $1 million. But overall, the majority of condos in this area are going to be anywhere from 400,000 to 800,000. And I know that's a really big difference and a big range, but it really depends on how large a unit you're aiming to purchase. Units around $800,000, for example, would be a 2,000 square foot, 3 bedrooms, and that comes with dedicated parking and shared entertainment and outdoor spaces to enjoy. Okay, so now let's move on to our next location and to something quite different. If you're looking for a lakefront property, then look no further than Lake Oswego. Okay, so let's take a couple of minutes to show you where Lake Oswego is and what's in the surrounding area. So this is our map. You'll see Portland's up here directly south of Portland. You'll see we have Lake Oswego. Now this section here is obviously the lake, but you're also on the Willamette River. So Lake Oswego's really got that river and lake appeal. Now in parts of the video, you'll see me stand right on the corner here, Millennium Park. This is right just south of that shopping area, and then here, which is to the east. These are really the two main areas that members of the public can actually get a glimpse of the lake. But you'll see, you're almost just seeing the small bay. The lake itself is much larger than that small area that you'll see me film from. And the reason for that is access to the lake to members of the public is actually really tough. Even though there's some recent rulings that state that it is a public park, or access to the lake should be public, the lake itself is surrounded by houses. In fact, look, check out this one here. Beautiful, huge lakefront estates. So it actually makes it quite a private lake to actually get access to, and you'll find that there's many executives, sports stars who have homes right around the lake, and this is one of the more expensive areas across the entire Portland metro area. I think it's the most expensive city actually in Oregon. So access to the lake is quite limited, but access to the river is a lot more convenient. You've got a couple of different places you can get access to the river, go kayaking, just go for a general walk down the area. The northeast corner right here this is where you're going to find the majority of little shops, restaurants, cafes, and I've got this covered in the video itself. So you'll see this area covered, and then just north. So let me just show you the little street map. So this area right here. In fact, let's put our little guy down right here on this corner. You'll see lots of kind of little cute stores. You've got access to the lake here. There's a nice little patisserie there. Restaurants here. This is a really nice little corner right here. So that's this area here, and then A Street, you'll find plenty of little shops, restaurants and cafes. You'll see there's a Safeway back here as well. But then just north of this area, you have this neighborhood here. This is known as First Edition, and this is a much older neighborhood. You have there's a library right in this area as well. So homes in this area are a little older, a little bit more character. You know, could be 100 years old or more. In fact, I know there's a couple of Victorians in this area as well. So this is a charming neighborhood, very walkable to the main kind of shops and restaurants and facilities within Lake Oswego itself. Later in the video we will of course talk more about properties, but I also just want to mention right down here by the river, there's plenty of residences along here, rental condos and apartments as well. So there's plenty of places right along here as well. So overall, a fantastic little area to be in. So walking through Lake Oswego, you'll notice the variety of home styles that makes this area so appealing. The homes range from historic cottages and mid-century modern houses to newer construction and luxurious lakefront estates. Now, many of the properties here feature large lots, mature landscaping, and in some cases direct access to the lake. Now, Lake Oswego is an incredibly affluent area, and this is going to be one of the most expensive parts of all of Oregon to purchase a home. Waterfront homes tend to cost multiple $1 million, but that doesn't mean that all of Lake Oswego is unaffordable to the masses. There are townhomes and condos here too, as well as single family homes that are a little bit further from the lake. Now, the area I'm currently in is the First Edition. This is just north of the small downtown area on the northeast corner of the lake. It's a very popular neighborhood, not just because of the proximity to local amenities, but this is also one of the oldest areas in Lake Oswego, with some homes dating back to the late 19th century. So if you're looking for an area with some wonderful historical charm, this could be the area for you. Now, one of the great features of Lake Oswego is its abundance of parks and recreational facilities. And one of the things to keep in mind is that Lake Oswego is not just an area of a lake, but you're also on the Willamette River too. So Foothills Park, which is where I'm currently standing, is located on the east side of town and has beautiful views of the river. It's a perfect spot to enjoy a picnic, take a leisurely walk, or simply relax by the water. In the summertime, you'll frequently see people on the river kayaking. There's even a canoe boat right behind me, and this is November right now. It's a great place just to come here in the summer and cool down. Okay, so let's take a few minutes and talk about Lake Oswego, which is obviously the lake right behind me. Now, this is not all the lake, it kind of goes around the corner there. You can't see it from where I'm currently standing. There's a few things you should know about Lake Oswego though. There's been several lawsuits recently about making this park more accessible to members of the public. There's a recent ruling from 2024 that states that it is a public park and access to it should be easier. What that really means in reality though is very unclear. Most of this lake, as you can see, is surrounded by private residences except for this area near the Millennium Plaza. There's also a city-owned swim park in the southeast corner, and you have to show proof that you live in Lake Oswego to access the lake. But other than that, it's actually really tough to even get a glimpse of the lake, making it feel fairly exclusive. So if you own waterfront property, then the lake will feel exclusive and private. And if you don't live in Lake Oswego but want time on the water, most people are going to be hanging out in the nearby parks on the Willamette River, where I was earlier instead. Now this is probably one of my favorite spots in Lake Oswego, because you can see just the beautiful tree line, especially this time of year in the background. You've got the lake in the foreground there. And then right behind me, as we spin around, you can see there's a collection of nice restaurants and shops. And then further down that street up there, that's where you'll find a lot more shops, which I'll show you in a few minutes time. But for those of you who do love shopping and dining, Lake Oswego's downtown area it does offer a charming mix of boutique shops, cafes and upscale restaurants. So if you're looking for a casual meal or a gourmet experience, or even a day of shopping, you're going to find it all down there in the heart of Lake Oswego. That said, it's not all boutique shops. There's still plenty of regular stores for your essential needs, including grocery stores, pharmacies, and anything that you could possibly need. Now, if you're enjoying this video and want to see more content like this, please do consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel. I release new videos every week, so this is going to be your best way of staying up to date on all of the latest content. And do remember, as a real estate broker, I'm here to assist you with any of your real estate needs across the entire Portland metro area. So feel free to give me a call, send me an email, send me a text, and I'll be able to help you with your move here. Okay, so let's take a quick walk around and drive around the area too, to give you a better feel for what it might be like to live here. Okay, so to recap, Lake Oswego is one of the most affluent areas in all of Oregon. Single family homes without any views would be significantly more expensive than parts of Portland. And this is where the rich and famous live. Luxury lakefront estates. These are going to cost multiple millions. We're talking anywhere between 3 million to 8 million for a lakefront estate. Now there are condos and townhouses in Lake Oswego. If you're okay being closer to the Willamette River than rather being on the lake, you might be surprised by just how affordable they are. You'll be able to find townhomes starting in the high $300,000 right next to the river. And this is in the area that we saw earlier in the video. Okay, so before we move on, I did want to remind you that every week I release new videos on what it's like to live in the Portland metro area. So with that in mind, if you are thinking of making the move here, make sure you subscribe to my channel. That way you'll receive all the latest content. Also, do remember I am a real estate broker based here in Portland, and I'd be happy to assist you with your move here. Pick up the phone, send me a text, send me an email, and let's connect. Okay, so now let's move on and talk about something very different, which are floating homes. Okay, so let's start with talking about what impacts the value of a floating home. Now, if you've already been browsing floating homes online, you've probably seen a really wide variance in prices, and there's several reasons for this. One is the condition of the float. Two is if the seller owns or rents the slip. 3 is the location and which direction the home is facing. Then 4 is of course the quality and general condition of the home. Okay, so one of the most critical items to be aware of when buying a floating home is the condition of the floats. And these floats are rated between 1 and 5, with 5 being the highest and 1 being the lowest. Now, banks and other lenders will want to know the condition of the float before agreeing to finance a mortgage. If the float rating is too low, then most lenders will not want to provide financing. Then there will either have to be a cash-only deal, or you'll need the seller to improve the float quality prior to closing, and this can easily cost $50,000 or more to do so. Now, whilst we are on the topic of loans, this is a more specialist loan, so there's only a handful of lenders in the Portland metro area that do provide financing for this type of property. So your options will be limited, but if you are interested in knowing more about financing options for a floating home, please send me an email and I'll put you in contact with a specialist lender here. Now, one final comment on lending is that you should also be prepared to pay a higher interest rate than a traditional property because there is more risk involved to the lender. So moving on, another item that will have a significant impact on the price of a floating home is if the seller owns or rents the slip. If the seller owns the slip, then that could add another $100,000 to $200,000 or even more in value to the property. However, if they don't own a slip, then there will also be a monthly slip rental fee to pay. Now, this monthly slip rental is a different fee than the HOA fee, and HOA fees are going to be additional costs for you to think about. Think of these as costs that cover common areas, perhaps parking, which I'll show you a little bit later, and then in many cases HOA will also cover water, sewage and garbage. Now, every HOA is also going to have different rules, and it's very important that you're aware of these rules when buying one of these floating homes because it impacts how you can use the property. For example, some HOAs may not allow you to do short-term rentals with your home. So just before we conduct the tour, I firstly want to show you where on the map that this property is located, then also point out on the map where there are some other floating homes across the Portland metro area. Okay, so let's dive into the map. I'm going to show you where there's several different areas in Portland where there's floating homes. Firstly, when you see the map, you'll see to the north of Portland you have the Columbia River, and then straight through the middle of Portland you have the Willamette River, and on both of these rivers there are floating home options. So where I was standing, in fact let's go to our satellite view, where I was standing was east of the Portland International Airport, so PDX Airport, and it was right here, and I'll be touring this one here with the green roof, so it has fantastic views pointing west on the river. You'll see there's several more floating home options just east of there. And then you've got more along here as well. And then also, this is Hayden Island right here. And you'll see there's a lot along Hayden Island. So all along here, to the west of that, you've got this one. And you've got a lot more along here. So there are a lot of options on the Columbia River. And then there are more further north. So Salvie Island, you've kind of got this little channel along here. And you'll see there's some additional ones in here as well. But probably the most desirable location, and it's going to be one of the smaller locations, but the most desirable location, sorry, let me go a little slower, is southeast Portland, Selwood Moreland area. Selwood Moreland is a very desirable location, so you can see on the map, just says Selwood Moreland there. And then you can see there's also a lot of houses here. Now again, this is a smaller selection, but this will be the most desirable because of the location. Selwood Moreland's got some great restaurants, got some nice parks. You're going to be in close proximity to downtown Portland, so you can comfortably live on one of these boats all year round, and or floating homes all year round, and still work in the city and have a normal city life with restaurants and great amenities and facilities on your doorstep. Okay, let's go back into the home tour now. So the property we're going to see is a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom home, and it's fairly large at 2,261 square feet. Now, the house does come with ownership of the slip, which adds significant value. Unfortunately though, the homeowners have not had a recent float inspection, and as mentioned earlier, that can have a fairly significant impact on the value. So let's take a quick property tour, and then I'll tell you the price at the end. So if you remember what I said earlier about direction facing adds value, and this is facing east, and this is the Columbia River. Now some of these houses don't have views like this, they have views of the other floating homes. So to have an unobstructed view of the river here adds significant value. Okay, let's go take a look downstairs and stay to the end because there's a fantastic little treat down there that you may not expect. Okay, so this was a really pleasant surprise to see at the end of this tour. Having this boat here right behind me, and it's an electronic ramp, And then you've got the garage doors there, right there, that gets you straight onto the river. In fact, you can see the water line right behind me down here. So you can be on the river, you can be fishing, you can be just enjoying yourself. This house also has some kayaks here as well. What a fantastic property. Okay, so overall, I think this is a great example of what a floating river home can be. It's in a lovely location, has some fantastic views, and to have unobstructed views like this definitely adds value. And then that large boat garage with a lift is a fantastic option too. So this is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2,261 square feet floating home, and it's listed for $575,000. And remember, it does come with ownership of the slip. Now there's also an HOA that covers several utilities, including trash and water, and this is approximate cost of $400 a month. Okay, so floating homes are going to have a really wide range in price. The location and view does play a large part, but if the home owns a slip and the condition of the float, those are the two factors that are really going to play a significant part on the price. In terms of up prices in general, the home that we saw earlier in that video was $575,000. That's a pretty good number to budget for. You're going to find some houses that are a lot less than that. Maybe they don't own a slip, or maybe they have some repairs. You're also going to find houses a lot more than that. Probably around $700,000-800,000 is where they tend to top out. You don't see floating homes over $1 million. Now moving on, another area that is great for waterfront homes, especially if you're on a budget, is Hayden Island. This is located between Portland and Vancouver, Washington, on the Columbia River. Okay, so let's take a look into the map to show you where Hayden Island is located. And it's here, it's in this dotted red outline. It's in the middle of the Columbia River. It is part of Portland, Oregon, even though it's right in between Vancouver, Washington and Portland, Oregon. So you've got close proximity to two different cities here. So even though Hayden Island itself is fairly quiet, it's not that much there. You're very, very close to Vancouver, Washington, very, very close to the main part of Portland, Oregon. So there's only one road in, which is the 5, and it goes straight through the middle. This is a railway bridge, but only one road in and out of the island. Even though it's a small island, and there's only it's a small population that live here, there's actually a lot of shops and a lot of facilities right here, the Jantzen Beach Center. You'll see all the big box names: Target, Best Buy, Home Depot, TJ Maxx, and there's many others as well. And the reason for that, I believe, is there's no sales tax in Oregon, but there is sales tax in Washington. So I think many people come from Washington, and this is the closest place to come to take advantage of there being no sales tax. You'll notice if we go to the satellite view, the west side of the island is completely undeveloped. So it's only the southeast section of Hayden Island that has any development on there. And most of it is in the eastern corner where there's homes. So although you'll see kind of a lot of homes here, this is an RV park, all right? So it's quite different. And you'll see there's a lot of floating home options in Hayden Island. So that's if you want a floating house, then Hayden Island is definitely a good opportunity for you. And then of course there's the marina where you'll find more boats. But yeah, so you'll see obviously it's an island. There's boats and marinas all over the place. In terms of condos and where the main residential areas are, you've got obviously condo buildings scattered throughout the island, but right up here, this is kind of one of the bigger corners, and I've got some of the clips on this in my video later on. Beautiful views, right? Stunning views overall. There's very few single family homes on the island. It's mostly condos. So that's kind of the style of house, what way life would be. Lots of marinas. Some of these on the actual floating homes, you'll have Island Cafe, which is a floating cafe on an island. Hidden Bay Cafe, that's kind of like a little marina where they actually sell boats kind of down there. So overall, water, boats, marinas, that's kind of the lifestyle you're going to have if you live on Hayden Island. Okay, so let's get back into the video. Okay, so now we know where we're located, let's talk a little bit more about what you can expect if you live here. So when it comes to residential properties, you're going to find a real mix of single family homes, condos like the building behind me. There's also townhouses here and of course floating homes. Now, one of the key features of Hayden Island is its waterfront living. So many homes and condos offer direct access to the river and provide breathtaking views and opportunities for boating and water activities. Now, as I mentioned, you will find a lot of condos and townhomes here, and that helps keep the home price low. So on average, it's a more affordable place to live than many areas in Portland, but it's still a fairly attractive and safe place. Many of these communities are gated, so if safety is important, then this could be a good option. And we're also only around 15 minutes from PDX Airport, so for frequent travelers, this could be a good home base. So in terms of recreational facilities, well, obviously the majority of it will feature around the Columbia River. The island's marinas are also perfect for boating, sailing and kayaking, and then the river offers excellent opportunities for fishing and water sports. Now, for those of you who prefer land-based activities, well, the island has several parks and walking trails that allows you to enjoy the natural beauty of the area. Now, one of the big issues with Hayden Island is that there are no schools here, and if schools are important to you, then you will need to leave Hayden Island. There is, the good news is that this area is in the Jefferson High School catchment area, and that has a great schools rating of 8 out of 10, and it's actually only around a 10 to 15 minute drive away, so it's not the end of the world. But if having to leave the island is a problem for you, it's definitely going to be something for you to consider. So now let's take a walk and a drive through Hayden Island so you get a better feel for what it's like to live here. Okay, so Hayden Island is a good budget-friendly option. You will mostly find condos and townhomes here as well as floating homes. There are some single-family homes available, but your options there are going to be limited. Prices for a riverfront condo start under $300,000, and you can find obviously larger properties up to around $500,000 for townhomes and condos. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about a collection of different areas. I'm going to bring up our map and talk specifically about the Willamette River. Okay, so we've got our map of Portland shown up on the screen here, and you can see for yourselves just how much water there is surrounding the Portland metro area. To the north of Portland you have the Columbia River. This separates Oregon and Washington, so Vancouver is in Washington. And there's actually some nice kind of condo buildings right along here as well. But what I wanted to talk about now is the Willamette River. So this river here, that really splits Portland in half. So the west side and east side, but you'll see it goes all the way down here, down through. This is Lake Oswego. This is the lake, but there's also, as we mentioned, some nice condo buildings right along the Willamette River. Now, if you go further down here, you'll see Oregon City. Canby is really beautiful. The north part of Canby kind of just touches. There's no real houses on the Willamette River. But Wilsonville definitely has properties on the Willamette River, both the north and south parts. So along here you've sort of got some really nice houses. Charbonneau, I've talked about Charbonneau multiple times in my videos. It's a master plan community. As we show the satellite view, you'll see it's built on 27-hole golf course. And then there's houses in the north part of Charbonneau that are overlooking the Willamette River. So a really pretty area along here. So Wilsonville, Charbonneau, I highly recommend if you're looking for that waterfront properties. And then as we go a little bit further, you'll get to Lake Newburgh just down here as well. So Newburgh's right here. But there are several kind of main places along the river. I'd say Lake Oswego we've already covered. Oregon City, Wilsonville, Charbonneau is probably a top pick. Newburgh, and actually as we go a little further down, places like Independence. You've got Salem up there as well, but Independence is beautiful. I've covered Independence in my videos before. You've got this park right here, very spectacular. Very walkable along here, very attractive. It has a cute and charming little downtown area. Plenty of new homes in Independence, especially in the southwest corner. It's a real charming little place. So overall, the Willamette River is going to give you multiple options for waterfront living. Independence, Salem has some. Newburgh, Canby, Wilsonville is probably the top pick. Oh, and West Lynn, I didn't cover West Lynn. West Lynn's right here. So it's kind of on this where it turns. This part here where it says Willamette, this is the old part of West Lynn. So this is like West Lynn used to be two different cities and it kind of combined over 100 years ago. But this area right here, these houses are over 100 years old, and then anywhere up here, these are slightly newer, 30 years old, some new construction as well. But you'll have homes right along. It's quite steep down here, it kind of drops down quickly, but you'll have some houses along here as well in Oregon City. Okay, I think that kind of covers the Willamette River. Okay, so there you have it, a tour of some of the best waterfront locations in and around the Portland metro area. Now, if you are considering making a move or just want to learn a little bit more about these amazing locations, feel free to reach out. I'd love to help you find your dream home. So thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Until next time though, thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing you again in the next video.